And here's a list of supplies you'll need for this project. A bag of 1-inch styrofoam balls. Michaels has a bag of 12 for about $5. You're going to need 12 40mm bases. I used 4mm rods for this project, but I suggest 6mm. It's a little sturdier. And you're going to need a hot glue gun. Make sure it's a high temp one and it's a small one. If it's too thick, it's going to mess up the lines and you're not going to be able to do some of the detail. Then you're going to need Tyranid Gaunt Bits, 24 adrenal glands, and 36 venom sacs. Then you're going to need small straws. Juice box straws are perfect for this, they're not too large. You're going to cut those into 1/4-inch pieces at an angle, and you're going to need 72 of those. And if you want to be able to collapse these and store them easier, you're going to use 6mm N52 Neodymium magnets. And then, of course, you're going to need your basing supplies. Then you're going to need black primer, matte, and matte clear coat. I suggest Rust-Oleum's paint for this. Works really great, and paint adheres really nicely to it for this. And then, of course, your hobby paints. Alright, I started gluing the bits to the ball. I started by doing a glue stripe on top of the head and used the venom sacs as spikes. Then I started gluing the straws about 2/3 of the way back, just so it's all together off-center, just a little farther back than forward. And then I pressed the adrenal glands into the ball, picked them off, glued them down again, and then I used the glue gun's tip to make the mouth, 3 circles in a row going down, and it gives it a nice fleshy look too at the same time. You can get a little bit better view here of how that mouth looks too. And then I started experimenting with different line patterns for the bone of the vein look, deciding what I liked. Primed it up here so I get a better look at it. And on the next one I started cleaning things up a bit now that I knew what I was doing. I pushed in the adrenal glands a little bit farther, gave it a nicer look. I started cleaning up the lines and making them into a nicer pattern. And I altogether did 3 patterns and ended up settling on the one I liked. And once I had that picked, I ended up doing all the others like that one. And this helps you kind of just see the process from gluing the bits, doing the lines, priming it, and then picking out a pattern that I liked. Now next up, I wanted to get the bases going so they could be completely dry by the time I needed them. I went ahead and put Elmer's glue on the bases, and then coated them with kitty litter. I spoon it on so that it fills in the cracks. If you just dip them, it doesn't get into all the crevices. And then go ahead and let those dry for about 5 minutes, and then you'll hit them with gray primer. And then for myself, the next step will be to hot glue the magnets into the centers of the bases. I like my models to be able to collapse for storage better, so I like to magnetize pretty much everything in my army. Now I said in the supply section to use 6mm, but I actually used 4mm here originally. I suggest 6 though, less likely to topple and it makes them a little sturdier. I went ahead and glued the magnets to the tips here, you can see that. And here they are, lined up with the bases. I wanted to make sure they were all lined up straight, none of them were crooked. If you find that any are crooked, you can always sand them smooth and reglue the magnets. And here's the finished bases. So after I prime them gray, I go over them with Mucolid oil. Be delicate with the brush though, don't press too hard, the pebbles will come up at this stage. And then after the Mucolid oil has a little time to dry, go ahead and do 2 or 3 layers of Steel Legion drab around the edges of the base. And once that's all set and dry, do 2 coats of clear coat matte. It locks down the pebbles really nicely and gives the bases a really durable finish. Now, since this is my first tutorial, I hadn't anticipated making a video with this. I didn't actually show the painting steps that I was doing in between. I'll make another video later showing how I actually do this scheme and do the washes and everything. But here you see me gluing on the spores to the rods. And there's already holes in the balls when you buy them. And just fill it with a little glue, stick the rod in, stick it to the base, and I was measuring it against an actual spore to make sure I got the right height and angle on it, to make sure they were all as close as they could be to the original. So I finished up the model with Venothroat tentacles, and I think it gives it a really nice look. There you have it, your own Big Bash Mucolid Spores. Go ahead and feel that spore field formation you've been dying to try.